run about 30 minutes or so, and uh, we encourage you guys to feel free to chime in at the end if you guys have any questions. So here's the setup of the webinar, how we're going to be going through this. We'll talk a bit about the company, about me. Um, we'll talk about the current business landscape, what companies are facing in the market, and then maybe why the traditional way of looking at sales and the way of looking at business development may be a bit outdated for today's um, landscape and the technical capabilities that we also have. We'll also look at sales outsourcing and some of those benefits and how we might be able to utilize those. And we'll also look at ways of practical outsourcing in 2023 and beyond. So here's me. I'm a founding partner of Consig. I'm also the chief revenue officer, so I'm responsible for a lot of business strategies of kind of bringing in new business and the way that business operates. And so we're always kind of looking at these type of issues in our own internal meetings, trying to think of new innovative ways, whether through automation or AI or through whatever kind of is on the horizon and needs to be looked at. We'll kind of bring that into our brainstorming sessions and really try and bring in new ways of looking at the world and looking at business. About Consig, so we've been in operation for 6 years. As I mentioned, we provide on-demand sales services for companies globally. We provide outsource SDR, BDR, account-based marketing, various marketing services as well to key clients. And we help companies to really kind of fill top of funnel, fill kind of that pipeline that companies really need right now, especially. And we can also take those opportunities in that pipeline to close. So we have a wide variety of services in sales and business development and create customized solutions for our clients globally. We are headquartered in Singapore, founded by William Gilchrist, ex-Google, and we do operate globally as well. So the US, Canada, UK, EU, and APAC are our main markets, but we've also done campaigns from South America to the Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa. It just depends on our clients' needs. So, looking at kind of from a retrospective point of view, we're kind of taking a step back here to kind of lay the land here and to understand the current business environment. So everybody knows in 2020, everything went remote, which was very interesting, especially for our business. We were doing so much remote already that it was kind of a seamless transition. But most companies now found themselves that they had the opportunity to do sales remotely more than going into the office and looking at kind of people face to face and shaking hands. They were now able to close business and were encouraged to close business remotely, which is something that hadn't really happened until this point. There was still always a kind of an expectation that you were going to go into the office and meet the client and press the flesh and kind of have a cup of coffee or something. But now with 2020, it's all changed. But in 2021, we used those strengths that we already had in the remote work, and we were able to kind of create new automations, create new streamlined business processes to tackle those challenges, and really kind of overcame that. So we came out of 2022 as our strongest yet. So if you look at the kind of pathway in general business as well, and in the kind of globe here, we're looking at a lot of unrest recently. There's been so much inflation. There's been so many layoffs. There's been so many kind of things that have happened, you might say, that are really causing a lot of unrest in the market. and a lot of uneasiness. We're seeing so many layoffs from Amazon to Microsoft, Meta. These companies have gone down exponentially in terms of their stock price and their revenue, and they're really trying to find their feet. Tech has experienced a crash, you might say. 150,000 tech workers have been trimmed since 2022. So there's just been a huge shift in the way global business works, especially in tech. We thought that in 2020 that everything was going to be going well in terms of the demand for the goods would be the same, but it turns out as soon as the pandemic was over, people just stopped buying the same way that they were. The easy cash that companies and tech companies especially were reliant on dried up. There wasn't as much free capital around to go and kind of fill up these companies, their coffers, as it were. So companies found themselves scrambling to kind of make things make sense in terms of their own businesses and revenue. So that's where kind of an opportunity might come in from this crisis, where companies now might be able to say, okay, we're in a position where we don't have as much capital as we did, and now we can effectively kind of innovate to create better solutions. So we're also seeing that companies are becoming less profitable. So this is something that that is also kind of come out from the pandemic. There's decreased revenue and growth. They're struggling to kind of find new opportunities. If you go into the market today, and I've talked with countless business leaders this year, they're either downsizing their teams, they're reorganizing, they're actually looking for ways to bring in new business, but with less teams, with less investment, and they're really having a hard time kind of putting the pieces together there, figuring out kind of where's the new opportunity when everything is kind of shrinking. Companies are, losing staff, they're losing leadership, they're reorganizing and trying to find ways to continue the growth. So one reason that our solution and what Consig offers in sales outsourcing makes sense is because traditional hiring is very costly. You can see this across the board when companies go out and they hire sales staff. They have to make a huge investment, not only in the HR expenses of going out and sourcing the talent from job ads to HR resources being used to kind of do the interview processes, sometimes hiring, countless tens of hundreds of potentials to fill a few positions, but also, kind of using all of that resource, but still not being able to find the right resources. We're at a very interesting kind of black swan moment, as it were, where there's a huge need for qualified salespeople in the market, but companies also have a hard time finding them. Also, they might not know how to necessarily hire salespeople. If you're a technical founder, if you have a technical team that is really good in certain types of coding or certain types of technical network operations, maybe you don't even know what to look for in a salesperson. You don't understand the salesperson's day-to-day activities. You don't know kind of how a salesperson needs to think and operate. That's kind of where Consig also can come in with a lot of our expertise is when we hire and when we train and when we kind of bring these salespeople to fruition. There's a lot of really good kind of know-how and practical application that we can use to say, okay, this person, although maybe they're an introvert or maybe they have a different type of profile, we can see from their track record and their kind of expertise in the things that they've done, that this person will be a good salesperson for this account. We just need to set them up correctly. So a lot of companies are going to be at a loss, even from the get-go, when trying to put teams together, just because of the amount of effort and the amount of resources that it takes to put these together. And, to be honest, if you're not a career salesperson, you don't understand a lot about it, it's going to be tricky for you to even staff that correctly. So what we see also is that traditional sales and sales activities are very time consuming. Setting up a sales team, setting up a business development department, setting up the automations and the systems and all of the type of operations that are required is a huge exercise in understanding of how sales works, how marketing works with sales, and then also the correct way to do approaches. So what we find is that companies end up investing in a sales team, but it might take them 3 to 6 months just to get that team off the ground. From the hiring process, could take a few months, to having that person onboarded into the company, to train those teams. This is a huge kind of investment in time, not only money, but the actual months and days and weeks that go into creating this team. It can take a lot of time. There's also a lot that has to happen in the training, understanding kind of what the product flow is like, how they're going to explain it, the approaches. All of these things take a really long time to train and to get people to really understand and be good at. Now that's an interesting point and contrast in the way that that our company does the kind of the onboarding and the setup of accounts, is that we're so used to kind of making our clients' time well worth it, and really trying to find the ROI and to try to find the efficiencies, that we have systems in place that can set up a campaign, set up a client for success in a matter of weeks, where if they had done it internally, it would have taken 3 to 6 months. So we see that a lot of times, is that a client might decide to say, okay, we're not going to go with you guys right now. We're going to do this internally. And what we find is that that client usually will end up investing 6 months or so into this team and still not have anything to show for it by the end of that. And they usually end up coming back to us and saying, hey, we need to try you guys, because we tried to do it internally and it's been 6 months or more and it's just not working. So we've seen that a lot. We also have a lot of competition in the market. We see that traditional sales strategies and traditional approaches at the moment aren't really cutting through the noise. You can't just do a traditional email campaign anymore. You can't do LinkedIn ads the same way that you used to. You can't do a cold calling and just make a few calls and expect a breakthrough and to get that opportunity. There really needs to be a systemized, well thought of, well executed approach to business development and sales that's going to really make a difference and really set yourselves apart from the competition. Doing things the old-fashioned way right now, with everybody kind of scrambling for that next deal, really isn't going to cut it when you're up against 20 to 50 competitors who are going after your same market segments. And so you really need to be the most aggressive, the most savvy, as well as having the best approach, and knowing exactly the nuances of the sale and the approach to work all those different channels and all those different communication strategies in a way that's going to really tip the scale there and get you in the door. So those kind of the old-fashioned way of let's send out a few emails here and see if they write back, and oh no, they didn't. It's really not going to work. We're going to have to approach the prospects from multiple angles and really make sure that the follow-ups are well done, that they're maybe hearing from us a few different ways, and hopefully that way you'll see some conversions. So these are some of the challenges we just talked about: cost, time, and kind of an over competitiveness in the market. Now I want to talk to you about sales outsourcing, and this is what we provide, and this is kind of what I wanted to share in terms of our competitive advantage in the sales space and in business development. So we have that a few different ideas here. One of the most important factors that create success in our campaigns is, first of all, here, access to experienced and skilled sales professionals. So this is probably the most important factor in a successful campaign, are the actual people that you have working it. I can't stress this enough, that having a skilled and kind of experienced staff that has been well trained in the materials, that really knows how to knock on the doors, create the opportunities, and move those sales through the pipeline and do a good qualification, needs analysis, and taking it all the way into close. These are going to be the most important resources on any sales and business development campaign. The people that work this campaign, you really have to be well aligned with them. You really need to be able to hear the feedback daily, to do the coaching, to work with them, to create solutions around challenges that might be popping up on a daily basis. It's important to really have that engagement with your sales team, with the daily stand-ups. And these are things that people that are running companies may not have the time to do, and they might not also have a VP sales who's sitting with the team and able to also put that time and effort and kind of into the team building aspects and into kind of nurturing the skills of the sales professionals and really working with them to hone their craft and to find solutions. It takes a lot of kind of brainstorming as a team to break into certain types of industries. If you're going into industries like banking, insurance, private wealth management, or some of these kind of hard to crack nuts in the market, you really need to work with people who have that experience, who have done it before, but also with a team leader and a entire kind of organization that can work together to problem solve and to innovate and to find solutions that may have been overlooked by someone, which, you know, everybody would love to have that kind of support. Next is increased focus in the business function. So this is really interesting around business function. And this is something where we can talk about automations, tech stack, finding ways to create efficiency in operations. So we've been around for over 6 years now. When we first came into the market, we were the only sales as a service company kind of that we could find that actually used that that type of branding, and you called themselves maybe sales mercenaries or sales ninjas or outsource sales teams or anything. Like, there was no one else. So we really had a lot of time over the last 6 years to hone the operations of creating a outsourced sales army, to create systems that really kind of created a lot of efficiencies, not only for the sales team, but also for the prospects that are coming through the pipeline, so that it's a seamless process for them too, so that they can move through the pipeline and say, wow, this is a great experience for us too. So having those types of kind of wins and experiences, and kind of um, really working at it to create those efficiencies in the operations, looking at every type of sales enablement tool and solution, and trying them all out over 6 years, and kind of really working with the team to make sure that we were having the best tech stack and the best kind of operational experience, not only for us, but also for our clients, really kind of has set us apart from the competition in that way. In the past year or two, since COVID, and since everybody started to understand, let's say, that sales could all be done remotely now, and that sales um, as a service was something that clients really liked and they wanted to hear about. We've been seeing a lot of others in the market, you might say, that have tried to say that they are sales as a service, or they offer sales solutions like ours. But we've also heard a lot of feedback from prospects that they've tried those, and it really wasn't as seamless, or there wasn't a um, kind of an opportunity there for success like what they might have seen with us, just because a lot of those companies are brand new into the market over the last 2 years, and they really don't have the expertise and the staff and the systems that do create opportunities for success, like what we have with Consig. So here are some common reasons why companies might outsource business development and sales operations. Um, of course, first of all, you see here reduced and controlling costs. So when you need to really create an effective sales organization, you hire a VP sales. This person usually has a very high salary. They take a while to set up. There's some time there that you're spending to get them onboarded, for them to create their plan, for them to be able to have a strategy set forth, and to really map that out. We also then have to hire business development and salespeople. Those require a hiring process and a lot of investment and cost as well. So by the time that you create and hire this team and this department, and you're ready to scale up, you've not only invested a lot of time, but you've also invested a lot of money, which are, pretty much hand in hand. So that is one reason why companies come with us in Consig, is because we can not only save you for the money and the cost that you're going to be paying to hire probably a team of 5 people in our company, you might use that same amount to hire one person as a VP sales. So there's a huge cost benefit from outsourcing with a team like Consigs. Next is access to internally unavailable resources. So this is an interesting point that I touched on before, where you might not even be able to spot a good salesperson or good business development person. You might look over them. You might not understand that type of salesperson, how they might be successful, but it's a thing that kind of happens with your own experience. The people that you wouldn't think could go into the market and could do maybe 60 dials a day and could open doors are usually ones that you don't really see coming. So being able to have those type of resources in a company. Those take a lot of kind of legwork to find. It takes a lot of time to build a team that has those type of resources. Also, not only human capital, but also in terms of technological capability or operational capability. A lot of companies might not be able to create resources around the tech stack. A lot of these tech stack tools are extremely expensive. They require a huge investment, and companies may not want to hire a whole new team of SDR, BDRs, and also set them up with wildly expensive tools that cost, $10 or $15,000 a year that all have to be paid in one chunk. So these are also kind of reasons why it's important to consider solutions like Consigs. Next is free up internal resources. So this is actually very, very important for founders, CEOs, and other executives in the company. The last thing that you need your CEO doing or your executive team is doing the day-to-day sales process, managing a sales team, managing business development, and trying to figure out how to run a sales organization. No matter if that's from scraping data from tools to setting up business development and sales operations, to managing anything in the CRM, those type of activities are going to drag down the business. The reason why is that an executive needs to be concerned with seeing what's coming next in the market, not what necessarily needs to happen on a day-to-day operational kind of perspective from his sales and business development team. That's better done by those people who that's all they look at. Then they can report back to an executive member and let them know kind of how it's going and maybe get some guidance and tips and kind of continue running it. But if the CEO or the executive team is running every sale and setting up every sale in the company, then they're not going to be able to react as smoothly or quickly to market changes and kind of technological advancements that are happening pretty much every day these days, if you've been reading the news. Also, another reason why companies might outsource is to improve the business and customer focus. This is really a great point because when you operate with a bigger team or a team that allows kind of the broader organization to do their own kind of work instead of worrying about sales and business development, it gives a lot more space and a lot more time to the customers and to the business. Businesses thrive on having a lot of different kind of leaders in different departments, really optimizing those areas and allowing them to function efficiently. The same with sales and business development. It really needs an investment and really needs a team who's there running it and making sure it's operationally smooth. That's what Consig offers, is basically an entire department or an entire team that worries about all the areas from creating the databases to doing the email, LinkedIn campaigns, doing the calling campaigns to create the opportunities, nurturing those opportunities, making sure they show up to meetings, qualifying them, running the demos, doing your needs analyses and following up until the close can happen. And then, even doing after sales. So being able to take all of that activity and all of those tasks on really allows for the other areas of the business to be focused on well, and for the customers who are already in the business to also have a great experience, because now the rest of the company can help to focus on those as well. Another area is accelerating company transformation. this is a great benefit. Just as I mentioned earlier, Consig has been working on optimizing sales systems and sales functionality over the last 6 years. So we've really kind of gotten this down to an art form, and it can only help a company to be able to hook into to a machine like that, where they're able to really enjoy kind of the latest and greatest in terms of sales enablement tools, processes, ideas. The way that the technology in sales and marketing has kind of advanced even the last few months, with a lot of the investment and kind of that we've done, but not only that, the investment in time and energy into resourcing, the new ways of looking at things like AI, of looking at areas where we wouldn't have been able to dream of these type of efficiencies a year ago. Now we can really take that and use it as a benefit for our clients, which is a great benefit for everybody. Okay, so I've already mentioned the reduced costs, but increased profitability is very important. So we're in the game of revenue creation. We're here to make sure that every campaign is cash positive, there's an ROI, and that there's a huge windfall after that pipeline has built up. That's what we are here for every campaign. So it's really important for companies nowadays, especially, to be proactive, to invest in their sales and marketing, to invest in filling the pipeline and filling the top of the funnel with business, so that by the time that that business matures and has a chance to move through the entire pipeline, the profitability of the company also grows in proportion to the amount that you've invested in that. So that's what companies really need to understand now, is that with the economic uncertainties that are kind of moving in, there's no better time than to be more aggressive, to go into the market, to bring to this point, number 4, to scale your sales operation. Because scaling your sales operation, building the top of the funnel, building your revenue engine, investing in that is only going to make the company stronger and grow more, as opposed to kind of taking a step back and reorging and all of these things, while letting sales kind of fall by the wayside. So it's really important for companies right now to take something, if you're in kind of an area of limited resource, or there's some areas where you're saying, okay, well, we need to reallocate or redistribute kind of our resources and kind of the way we're doing it. I would encourage you to invest in sales, invest in business development, really put in something there, so that this will end up kind of as a extra profitable year for you, instead of the other way around, where a lot of companies might find themselves in this kind of area of change and challenge. Okay, so we've already talked about cost efficiency. And one area here that's interesting is office space. We haven't seen an office for a long time. Most companies, I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I talk to so many people every day, and it's hard to find anybody who's actually in an office anymore. So everybody's remote, but it is an interesting kind of way of looking at it there, where you're even saving more there. On here. Okay, we also have the scalability here that I've mentioned. Companies are able to move up and down in terms of building a larger sales team, then scaling that back down. That's something that with a traditional sales team is tricky to do. You've got to look at your company policies. If you bring in 10 people, what's your policy say about letting those 10 people go? What is your training program like? How easy is it for you to bring a team together and disband the team if it doesn't work? That takes a lot of company resource, and it takes a lot of know-how and a lot of expertise that you're going to have to really provide a lot of uh, manpower to even get that together. That's where we can come in, bring in a team, uh, increase the number, decrease the number as see fit. And that's something that we do all the time with our campaigns. It's nothing for us to be able to double the size of a campaign or reduce the size, to open up new markets, to go into new industries, to pivot. That's why we were built, is to be able to provide that type of, kind of agility in the market as well. Also, accessing specialized talent. A lot of times, what we find is that prospects or companies in the market may not have ever really explored opening new markets. They might not understand how to break into APAC, for example, which is one of the Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing markets in the world in terms of the way that companies are kind of experiencing growth there. You can't find that in other parts of the world. There's so much kind of digital transformation going on, from new factories being built to businesses going digital, to banks that are exploding and looking for new solutions, and especially solutions from the West. They want to see new things, they want to understand, but a lot of times companies in the US or the UK or in Europe may not know how to break into these markets. They may not have the language capabilities, or they think they don't. They may not know how to do business in Indonesia or in Singapore. So that's where you might use a company like ours, who has done highly technical sales in Vietnam, in China, in India, in the Middle East, everywhere in the world where we've been able to sell. We can kind of show you that track record and say, okay, this is how you're going to enter the market, and this is how you're going to be successful. So we've been able to, be that bridge east and west as well, to be able to bring companies from the west to the east, and vice versa. If there's a company in, let's say, Singapore or Hong Kong, and they really want U.S. clients, we've also been able to really prove out a lot of success there. You can see that on the website. So all in all, it's important for companies today to really look at options when they are looking to bring in more business. Every company right now should be focused on that. They should be thinking of ways that they're going to be able to make it through 2023 as a profitable year. How are they going to build their businesses? How are they going to fill their pipelines? How are they going to get as many kind of opportunities as possible? And then how are they going to hold on to those and move those all the way through the entire sales cycle, and prove their value, and prove that they have a great process for their prospects to hopefully turn those into customers, and prove the profitability and the revenue of the company. It's really important that companies look at that, and they consider the options when it comes to that type of investment, look at how much would it cost to do this internally, to have these type of teams, and then how much would it cost to outsource that, to create an outsourced team that's all they do is scale up teams and put those into markets. So feel free to connect with us. Here's my email, joe@consig.com. We're also on LinkedIn. You can also check out our website. There's all the information that I've been able to share with you today, as well as a calendar booking there that you can go ahead and book a meeting with us for a consultation from one of our senior leaders. And we'd be happy to go over that and share what's worked with our campaign. We can look over insights and kind of see what you guys are currently doing, and be happy to just offer you some suggestions about what might work based on our own track record and what we've been able to see in the market. So looking forward to hearing from you guys, and thanks a lot for joining today.
Thank you, Joe.